People come in, huh? It starts at 5 though, right? Are we all ready? Everybody on? Oh, everybody's here. Okay. Is everybody here? My thing only showed me and Larry. Sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm having a bit of technical thing, so I thought it was just Larry and I and not everybody else. So everybody, welcome. Let's get this meeting started. Sorry about that, everybody. I would like to, the time is now 5:02, and today is May 18th, 2020, and I'd like to call to order the Lincoln City Budget Committee meeting. May we have a roll call, please, Ms. Steer?
Dick Anderson. I'm not sure they're all there. I see a lot of them blacked out.
That's what I thought.
23 people are signed on, though. If you look at the bottom, there's 23 participants.
Blacked out does not mean they're not here. It just means they don't have a video on.
Right.
Maybe they should. If we're going to participate in the meeting, I think we should participate.
Mayor Anderson, I'm calling roll call.
Fine, I'm here.
Just everyone wait. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay, Dick Anderson, Larry Armstrong. Larry, can you unmute?
Unmute.
There you go. Judy Casper.
You're muted, Judy.
It's not bad, yeah.
I'm here.
Estelle Harlan.
Here.
Deanna Hinton.
Here.
And Riley, you're here. Kevin Holmbach. Diane Coos.
I'm here.
Dick Mark.
I'm here.
Chester Norakis.
Yo.
Nancy Oxenholt.
Here.
Mitch Parsons. Mitch, are you there? Elaine Starmer. Now let's see. Elaine, are you there?
Says no video. Says video off and no sound, so she doesn't have her microphone allowed for the meeting.
And Susan Walkie.
I'm here.
Mitch is there, but he's muted.
Yeah.
Sorry. Showed up late.
I got you. So I have everyone except for Elaine, but I see your name on there.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe if somebody can call her, I don't know. I don't have her.
I'll give her a call.
Thank you, Kathy. And Mr. Apicello, or who's here? Mr. Chandler. I didn't see him, but I think it's, or Tony, do we have anybody there who'd like to make comments? Any citizens present? All right, cool. And then I would say
we did not have any public comments in the public comment email.
All right, wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Chandler. Would you like to continue?
You bet.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to begin with the Budget Committee questions and requests from our last meeting. And I'm not going to go through all of them. That's 9 pages worth of material. I am going to just touch on those in which there could be a possible motion. There actually could be a possible motion on all of these, but these are ones that I picked up on that needed a little bit of further clarification. The first one was a question about our use of Cassell, which is our utility billing software. Question was asked about who else provides this service. Are there Oregon cities? Are there Oregon that use it? Are there Oregon companies that provide utility billing services? And what's our budget? We've used Cassell since 2005. Our fee is $30,985. You can see the list of the cities that in Oregon that use it. It is a very effective tool for mid-sized to smaller cities. Without going through a full-blown request for proposal, I don't know of other ones in Oregon specifically that provide that services. If the budget committee wishes to make a recommendation to the city council, it's not in the purview of the budget committee to make this change, but you can make a recommendation to the council. A possible motion would be to move to recommend to the city council that the city begins the process to purchase new financial software. If you go to page 3, the request was made, we had a discussion about the water infiltration and where it comes in from and whether or not we could create a video. If you will, I'm going to take over your screen for just a minute and let you see. Okay, you should be seeing, right now you should be seeing a sewer pipe, correct? Okay. And one of my favorite songs to go with it, I hope it works. Okay, what you are seeing there, this is a lateral. That is water infiltrating into our sewer system. Okay, that's groundwater. It's going in and it is making its way to the water treatment plant or the sewage treatment plant where it gets processed. Okay. About 30 seconds more. Okay, wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. And there she blows. That's another joint in which there's water infiltrating at that joint. You'll see right here, you're coming up to a lateral. That's this part that's right here. That's coming in from somebody's home or somebody's business. This is a seam, and that's where you're seeing the water get in. That is what we do when we camera it, and that is what we fix because of that. That's the infiltration program. I could keep that going for probably about 3 more hours if you'd like, but I think a minute is probably sufficient.
I really appreciate that, Ron. Thank you. That's
No
probably
problem.
the funniest thing that you've done. Wait for it. Wait for it.
You know, we could do that on YouTube. I'm not sure though.
That'd be great.
We're going to have Ed take that as part of his marketing tool.
Riley, there's a couple of questions. I don't know if you've seen that.
Haven't seen any. Is it in the chat? Oh, Susan, go ahead. Thank you,
Sorry,
Kevin.
Ron.
No, thanks, guys.
My question was about the utility billing services. Did I understand that Cassell is an Oregon company?
No, it's based out of Spanish Fork, Utah.
Oh, okay, thanks.
And then, thank you, Susan. And then Kevin, I appreciate you giving me the heads up. Go ahead.
Ron, I think you started, thank you for the nice presentation. I like the music that went with it. But I think you started with saying on page 8 of something or on page 7 of something.
This
What?
this was included in your packet that was on the webpage.
Oh, for today?
Yeah,
Oh, gotcha. I didn't pull that down.
okay.
Thank you.
All right, the next question that you had was, there was a question about the community center, the use as it is used by the senior center. The senior center uses 2,440 square feet of the community center. The standard rates for nonprofits is between 0 and 30 cents a square foot. So when you multiply that together, you come up with $732 per month. This does not include maintenance, utilities, supplies, etc., which we estimated to be about $500 a month. The total estimate would be $1,232 per month is the cost of providing the community center to the senior, that portion of the community center to the senior citizens. Again, this is outside of the direction that you can give, but you can make a recommendation to the city council. If you wish to do that, you can say something along the lines of, I move to recommend to the city council that they begin negotiating with the senior citizens organization to charge rent for their use of the city's community center. Also on page 7, there was a request to show the firefighter free membership as part of the books. There are 15 passes that are given to the firefighters at a total cost of $1,597.50. There are 3 possible motions. There may be more, but 3 that we were able to come up with. One is I move to add $1,600 to outside agency grants and move to reduce something else by $1,600. What that does is, and this is actually a pretty good way to do this, if you want to continue to provide free memberships, it would go to the city council as part of their outside agency request. And so it's very clear that the council is granting that to the firefighters. If you want to discontinue it, you can just simply, I move to recommend to the city council to discontinue the practice of providing free membership to the North Lincoln Fire Department. And then the third is, let's see, and allow the North Lincoln Fire Department to apply for free memberships through outside agency grants. That way they can apply for it. Or the third is just move to recommend to discontinue the practice.
Thank you. We have Kevin. Got your hand up.
No, I never took it down, sorry.
Okay, Ms. Walke.
I have a couple of questions. Are family members of firefighters included in the free membership, or just the firefighters?
Debbie, do you know that?
I do not know.
Mr. Chandler, it's just the firefighters, not their family members.
Thanks, Debbie.
And I'm not real familiar with the structure of the fire department right now. I do know they have some paid employees, but do they have volunteers also?
Yes, they still have volunteers, but they also have now a full-time paid staff. The history behind this is this began several years ago when it was completely volunteer.
Thank you.
And so there's been a little change in its operations.
Thank you. Ms. Oxenholm.
So they do have a wonderful workout room right now and exercise at the new station. So I don't know, Jeannie, are they still coming in daily?
No.
I know they were going in daily.
So since they've opened up that new facility, Nancy, we've been closed. They do have a nice new exercise room.
Sorry, everyone. Larry, we can hear you, buddy. If you can mute your phone.
Oh, sorry.
All right. All right. Thanks, Jeannie. So they haven't been coming. Oh, we just haven't had that yet.
Right.
Okay. Is that okay, Nancy?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Chandler, if you would continue, please.
Okay, the next one and the last one that I wanted to bring up was that there, 2 of you had mentioned the idea of cutting salaries and specifically reducing by 10% the salaries for salaried employees. I looked at both salaried and non-union represented. That's an important distinction because the unions are by contract. My initial estimate is that would save about $250,000 it might be a little bit more. I discussed this with our staff during staff meeting, our department heads, and we added two or three other employees and took one away. And so it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of about that 250, maybe a little bit higher. That would affect between 22 to 25 employees. Salaries are set by the city council. So if you wish to do this, it would be two parts. The first part is to recommend to the city council that salaried non-represented employees reduce their salaries by 10%. And the second would be to move to reduce the departmental budgets by a total of $250,000 or an amount to reflect 10%, to reflect the recommendation to the city council to reduce salaried non-represented employees by 10%. That is all of that I was going to go over on the questions that we had or requests from the last time, unless you have any additional questions on what I provided.
Thank you, Ron. Ms. Hinton does have a question.
I have a question about especially the last one, and I'm going to ask a basic question. So if people are in line for their step increases and they get them automatically, practically speaking, how is that 4%, 3%? What is the usual percentage for increases?
Right now, the step increase or the cost of living increases are at 2%.
Okay, that's cost of living. I'm not talking about that because you can't do anything about that. But what
on the steps? We're interesting because we only have 6 steps. Other employers that I've had, they're usually around 10 to 15 steps, but we only have 6. So most of our employees have hit the top of their steps. And that, Debbie, is it 4% between steps? 5% between steps. I can give you a breakdown send it off to you on how many employees are still within the steps, but most of them have hit that top rung.
Almost all will be at the top.
Okay, so I'm not in favor of this, and I'm just saying that because people applied for, accepted their jobs, and were offered their jobs based on the information that was given to them, and then all of a sudden being asked to take a 10% cut is that's just not, it's not an okay thing to do. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, who is that?
This is Elaine Stormer. I also accepted a job for a specific amount of money, and I was told that I was taking a 10% pay cut. Our entire company took a pay cut. So I don't think this is unprecedented. I'm not saying that we have to do this, should do this, or not do this. I'm just saying I don't agree with Ms. Hinton's assessment of the reason not to.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's where I think it came up, was from other companies, businesses. All of the payroll was reduced, and so I hear what you are saying. Mr. Chandler, would you like to continue?
Yes, I'm going to take over your screen now, and in order to start, we're beginning on page 106 with the City Council. We don't have very many pages to finish, and at the end of that, Debbie's going to take a few minutes and explain a little bit about what you will be asked to do to finish this evening off. Page 106 is the share screen.
City Council.
There we go. Okay, you should be looking on my screen at the City Council's page, and hopefully that helps. It's a little bit bigger. There's only one item that I really want to bring up in this, and that is in the area of account number 111-011-620 9090, the part that's highlighted in yellow. Last year we had budgeted $38,000. $10,000 was budgeted to go for Citizens Climate Lobbying Group, and $28,000 was for a request from Newport pertaining to water usage. That's the only one that I have on that I really wanted to just bring up on the City Council. Is there any information or questions that you have on that?
I don't see anybody. Oh, Miss Walkie does.
And why was that money not spent?
Debbie, I'm going to ask you to answer that question.
We've never heard from them.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they've discarded it or they didn't get other people to participate or what.
Debbie, are you talking about the group that's working on the regional water solutions?
No. This is something different.
Well, because we have approved an IGA with that group, but they've never responded. The other cities haven't responded either. So.
Let me look up my note here. Ron, was this in 091?
091.
What department was this in?
City Council 620-9090.
This is the City Council's budget?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to have to look for it a little bit. Go ahead, and I'll come back when I find it.
Thank you. Mr. Mark, you have a question?
Yeah, I actually recall making a motion to allocate $28,000 to that regional water partnership, I guess it was. And I didn't know whatever happened with that, but that is the number that we had. And I'm just going to take a guess that Newport was deciding to go ahead with Big Creek and maybe isn't seeing much point in having a regional.
Right.
But if they need to replace their Big Creek Dam, and so maybe they are just putting their idea of a regional partnership on the back burner or something like that. That's just my guess. That sounds right to me. That 28,000 was the number that they had asked for.
And Mayor Anderson, you'll have to help me. That was in part to look at the creek. I'm sorry, the name just slipped my mind. Where we were going to have the regional water system.
Rocky Creek.
Rocky Creek, yes. Thank you. Okay, while she's looking for that, I am moving to the next page. Page 108, which is administration. That accounts for the city manager's office, the accounting for the city recorder, and human resources. Two items to bring up in this. Item 6101100 under salaries. You'll note that our estimate is lower than what we had budgeted, and then it's jumping up. The biggest reason for that is that for over a year now, we had an employee that had asked to go to a part-time, and we did that. When she left, when we replaced her, we replaced her back as a full-time employee, and that's the assistant. That she holds two sets of duties. She's the assistant to our human resources supervisor, and then also mans the public information desk. The other item is in retirement, 6106014. Of the purse match is in the amount of $66,679. Now, there's been some questions that have come up over the last couple of weeks pertaining to purse. Our understanding is that the match is still on, and we are still approved to receive that match, which is due in August. Now, having said that, there's always a little bit of a qualifier in that the state is expecting some significant budget reductions. And so when we talked with the retirement office, they basically said, if you have paid your money in, you're going to get the match. If you haven't and the state changes, then you may not. So, so for us, it's a bit of timing issues with that, and we'll continue to follow that.
Thank you.
Any questions on administration?
All right, I don't see any.
Okay. The next question is on, or the next section is on page 110, which is finance. Two items that I wanted to point out. The first one is, again, under the retirement, $69,904 is the purse, of that amount is the purse match. And then the one that this question comes up each year, so I thought I'd hit it head on, and that is the transient room tax reviews. And we still have that at $40,000. We have not, we've kept that from the last year.
And how, did we have a review of quantity of what we got for that?
Debbie, do you have that information? I think I lost her.
Yeah. Susan, you have a question also?
I just wanted to thank you for using some of that money. Hopefully it was productive.
I think the year before we had like one condo, two houses, and maybe like one condo complex, one motel, and two houses. So that's what I recall.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice to see what the difference was now and a percentage of total, total permits to total review.
Okay. All right. Any other questions in the finance? Okay. I'm now going to page page 110. This is the city attorney budget. The only item I have on this one.
113.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. 113. The only item I have on this one is the purse match, which is equal to $28,711. Other than that, it remains the same. We did cut a little bit out of the 6201152, which is legal services. We cut $5,000 out of that, and those are for contracted services that we use from time to time. Any questions on the city attorney budget?
I don't see anybody.
Okay. I'm now going to page 115. This is an interesting one because you learn why you never send your employees to conferences. This used to be called the non-departmental budget. And then Debbie attended a conference of finance personnel, and the training that they received is that we should not be using that term. Everything should be a part of a department. So this is now called City Hall operations. But you would know it from previous years as the non-departmental budget. There are no salaries that are associated with this. The two that I really want to mention are on page 116. $37,000 is budgeted for our continuing contribution to the county's bus program. We have had discussions a little bit with them in the past about expanding the route, but inevitably nothing has come of that either, generally because of the extra cost that would be associated with it. Now, I might point out also that we have budgeted $50,000 for the contribution to outside agencies. You'll notice our estimate for expenditures is $400,000 for this year. $350,000 of that went to Helping Hands for a transitional housing development that is currently underway and will be coming to completion over the next few months. Normally, this has kind of been up and down over the years, but our normal amount that we have given has been about $50,000. Okay. One other final thing is that the bottom one says employee wellness. That's item number 6260001. That is not a contribution to the community center. That is actually, we have a wellness program in which we provide incentives and different things for our employees to, we use it for they have a fitness fair each year, and so that's what those funds go for. They're not for community center memberships. Any questions on the City Hall operation? Okay. All right, page 118, I believe, yep, is IT. I'm actually going to go to, well, first of all, again, you're looking at item number 6106014. This is retirement. Again, the purse match is equal to $31,679. Now, the part on this one that I wanted to point out the most is in the area of, other equipment and capital at the bottom, item number 6320201. And the items that I wanted to mention specifically is that we have $15,000 for City Council and Planning Commission computer upgrades, replacements, refreshing them. And then we have $35,000 for an update to the city website. I wanted to turn this over to Tony so he can talk a little bit about IT.
Hello. We're trying as best we can to continue to reduce costs. The website obviously needs a refresh, although that is something that can be discretionary if we need to remove money out of the budget. Capital, we need to replace, or we'd like to replace the laptops that the Planning Commission and the Council have. They're coming up on 5 years old, getting a little long in the tooth. We've offered an alternative, less expensive solution to those folks with iPads, and we're going to make that offer again this year. I think we're doing a good job of maintaining, if not reducing costs across the board. We've been very grateful that the Council and the Budget Committee has approved the last, since I've been here now, 5 years of expenditures and a lot of really good work. I'd like to point out that we saved a lot of money on the police building by doing most of the IT work ourselves, if not all of it. Cache Valley, one of the vendors, came in with a very high-priced package for network, and we were able to beat that by about $90,000 by doing it ourselves. So we take all the monies that we get from the citizens in the community very seriously. We know where the money comes from, and we are grateful that we're funded well. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Miss Casper does.
Tony, I thought we had directed IT to work on the website last year, and it seems like it's been a very cumbersome website. I mean, just today, after almost 4 years, I found out where all the documents are for the entire city, and they were in Muni Court, and I swear couldn't find them. Anyway, I thought we were working on that to make it more community friendly. When's that going to, is that part of this budget money?
That is part of the budget money. We didn't ask for any funds last year to refresh the page, to refresh the site. The site itself is very old, not well maintained, as you know, and we didn't ask for any funds for that. I think that
Counselor, one of the reasons why we didn't is because part of what we've been doing over the last little more than one budget cycle has been the records management program, which will take all of our records and put them online. That software has been purchased. We're now in the process of training employees on how to use that. The process we're doing is beginning by records going forward, and as everybody becomes comfortable with that, then we'll start putting in old records into that system as well. Ultimately, the vision that I have for it is kind of a three-step process. The first is to create it so that we as a city organization can use it. The next is begin an experiment, as I want to be able to put a little kiosk here at the city office, use the library's computers where people would be able to come in and do their own records research. And then finally, if we have the ability to be able to do research, people can do research from their own homes or wherever they have access to a computer. That will take us a while to get there, but as we look at transparency, the technology that's available, our ability to make sure that items that should be redacted are redacted, I think it can become a really great benefit to our, not just us as a city organization, but also to any of our residents or anybody who wants to come in and look for documents.
So, Ron? So it seems like we've been working on this record management program for couple years now. When is it going to be totally implemented and functioning?
Tony, you want to answer that?
Yeah, so we were fully funded on it last budget year, and we've been working on it for about 11 months now. So it's probably been in the works for several years, but we didn't ask for monies until last budget year. We purchased software, and we were making really good strides until this COVID thing happened. And we had to kind of redirect some of our resources to remote support. And well, I don't think we've been working on this project, at least not by having purchased software, purchased product, except for the last 11 months or so. So I'm sorry if we gave you the impression that we were moving forward with it. It's been.
But we have been talking about it for quite some time.
We have been talking about it for some time. It's just a monster of a project. We've done a lot of work in the back end to get to the point now where we feel confident with the system that we're building.
And who's involved with this management program, records management? Specifically,
the IT department is the project managing this project. Okay. David Twig is the lead on that. The city recorder is involved, and all of the department heads are involved in this project.
And ultimately, any employee, including the city council, will receive training on how to use this. We're trying to do it a systematic approach, looking at smaller departments that aren't generating as much records, and departments that, how do I say this, a little more organized in their filing system to make that run as smoothly as possible.
Is this in coordination with the court records at all, or is that just a different department, or how does that work?
That's a different department, but we certainly can incorporate that at some point.
Is that we trying to get the records organized over in the court? Is that part of this program as well, or would be, or could be?
We would definitely be looking at this system to assist us with getting less paper needed.
Less paper. Hear that, Mr. Chandler?
Less paper.
So, yes, every record we create has the potential of being incorporated into this system.
So would court be included automatically then for the future in this budget, or no? Or?
Well, I'm not asking for any money in this budget. This was the previous budget. So this is an ongoing project that we scoped it in, between 24 and 36 months to get from beginning to end. We lost a little momentum with this COVID thing. David has picked it back up, and we're moving forward. And I'm happy if you want to come in, and I'm happy to show any of you if you'd like to come in and see what we're doing. I'll give you a demo. And
the work right now is the training of the employees on how to use it, how to format records, how to be able to search for records, and even to identify what is a record and what is not. There also, parts of that will be records retainment, when things, how long things have to stay versus when they can be destroyed.
So the software is the easy part. It's the process and getting people tied into a new process. That's the difficult part.
I'd be in favor of, we just do a little presentation sometime about here's the old way that we were doing it, and here's going to be the new way, so we can see what this transition is about, just because I don't know.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes, I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Mr. Arkins.
Tony, do you still have a 99.9% success record in terms of keeping the city online and up and running?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. We have,
you're what?
I'm gonna knock on wood right here, but we have not suffered an outage for years.
You're wonderful.
Wow.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Chester. I really do.
Chair, could I then ask a question?
Absolutely.
Tony, what's the software? You've got an increase in budget. Are you got something else up your sleeve?
Yeah. So there's it used to be in capital where I'd put Microsoft licensing, but we've moved it to the software line. We have to purchase some more Office licenses, and we need to purchase some more server licenses. So that's why you see the increase in the software line. It used to be in capital, and we moved it to software. So that's the largest increase in software licensing. And I did a little cost comparison between putting the city on something like Office 365 versus what you were paying by the month for the Office software versus buying it outright. And it was about a 5-time increase in cost to lease the software rather than buy it. So yes, it looks in one line item like a lot of money, but if you stretch that out over the life of the software versus purchasing a subscription, it's significantly cheaper to purchase the on-premise software than it is to get into a subscription. And I'd be happy to share those numbers with you if you'd like to see them.
Thank you. Ms. Bridges? Is that you with your hand up?
Yeah, I did find that information on the 28,000 whenever you're ready for it.
Okay. I mean, let's hold on. I see Nancy has Ms. Oxenholt.
Just a question on the overtime. Is that your department from 196 to 790? And I know it's an estimate.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that was put in there. We seldom run overtime. I mean, it's rare that we work overtime anymore. I'm salaried, and so if we need somebody here, generally I will do it. And Bill and David are both very flexible with their hours.
So there's 3 of you in IT, Tony?
There is. There's 2.5. So Bill and I are full-time and David is half-time.
Okay, thank you.
And then, okay, so Debbie, do you want to share that real quick?
Yeah, I'll just add a comment on the overtime as far as budgeting for overtime. Unless I got feedback from departments, I generally set it about the same as what was the 1920 budget. So last year we got a letter from the city of Newport basically saying the Mid-Coast Water Planning Partnership has gone through $650,000 and it's all spent, and it's going to go extinct if the 10 districts involved don't contribute more money, and our part of that was 28,000. But we have not had a request or heard from them as far as paying this amount. I don't know, the other districts maybe didn't agree to pay their share or what the status is.
All right.
Riley?
Yes, sir.
The city did approve an intergovernmental agreement with Midcoast Water a couple months back. It of course has all the standard disclaimers that subject to approval in the budget. So, and no one else has apparently approved it. So we were the first, and I don't think anyone else has.
Okay. Thank you. Mayor Anderson? No? Okay. Hi, Sue. Mr. Chandler, would you continue, please?
Okay.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. If I have a question. In this data entry thing, I just had an idea. Do we look at interns or volunteers for outside of our business itself, of people wanting to participate or volunteer with this like data entry or something like that? Has that been something as a way to kind of knock down that vast quantity of repetitive work? Is that something that we could engage in?
Are you asking in terms of the record management project and IT?
Yeah, or like, I know there's a couple of other things, maybe the data entry and this whole kind of digital collection of things. Is that something that would be allowed?
Yeah, that's something that we've talked about, and when it comes time to gather all of the historical records and then put them into the system, we will certainly bring somebody in either as a volunteer or I have a student worker that does the filming of these, does the recording of these meetings, and he's done some other work for us, and this is something that we could assign to him. And there's certainly an opportunity to not spend a lot of money getting this information input into the system.
Yeah, I'm thinking like maybe the high school or the career tech, and like, hey, here in this field, and not only just information technology, but in other industry, like in other of our departments, have we as the city of Lincoln City looked at reaching out to career tech and that, and think, hey, here's something that is the real world that you can participate in, which would help us lower costs for kind of these projects and things like that.
Yeah, I could speak to our department. Our CJ, who works for us now, is from Career Tech, and he'll be with us until he graduates, and we'll bring somebody else in from Career Tech. Charlie was here from Career Tech, and so I'm sure the other departments are open to that as well.
Yeah.
Explore Lincoln City has used Career Tech. They've been involved with the high school. We do, as we have those opportunities, to look for those. We don't really have any that are in the works right now. We do have an intern that Allison is using. When it comes to the records management program, once we reach the point where our employees are comfortable in going forward, then starts the biggest job, and it's a very repetitive job, and that is scanning and getting information into the system. Right. And that's going to take quite a bit of work and quite a bit of time to do that. In other cities where I've done this before, it's well over a year's worth of work of trying to get things into your system.
Right. Okay. And Mayor Anderson or Mr. Norikis, do we have a question on that? Can't see you. Sorry. No? Is that no? Okay. Sorry, I have to. Thank you. Mr. Chandler, could you continue, please?
Okay, the next item is on page 190. Where did it go? Here we are. Sorry. Page 119. These are on transfers and your ending fund balances. So I wanted to point out two transfers that are within this. We've talked about both of those. We have $275,000 that's being transferred from the general fund. This is account number 6601205. That is an ongoing commitment to the overlay projects that we are doing. I might point out that we've been able to reduce that each year, so that it's actually less than what I was thinking it was going to be. We also then have $106,650, which is being transferred to the Parks Operational Fund. That is for operations, not capital. And then finally, and that's item number 6601265. And then finally, items number 6780001 and 6800502 represent your fund balances, which is your difference between your revenues, including your beginning fund balance, and your expenses. And the total is $7,731,785. We've divided that into two groups. 6 million of that is in the unappropriated fund balance, which we have discussed in years past. We're trying to maintain that amount. And then the other is $1,731,785 is for contingency in case there's any projects that come up. Great example is this year where we had some projects associated with workforce housing that came up and the purchase of property. And Mr. Chair, that takes us through our budget. And so if there are any questions on transfers and contingencies and fund balances, I'd be happy to answer that. If not, I'm going to turn this over to Debbie to walk you through what happens now.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chandler. Do we have any other questions for Ms. Bridges? No? All right. Please go ahead.
Hopefully by the end of the evening, we can get two motions from the Budget Committee. One motion is to approve the budget either as proposed or as amended. And then the second is you actually adopt the property tax levy. And so that would be a motion to, approve property tax revenue. Where is my I have to get that amount for you. So you have the amount. $4.
997.
Yeah, it's shown on page 3 in the budget book. So approving a levy rate of $4.0996, and then also approving a levy of $1,603,710 for the sewer bonds. So those are the two items that we will need before we're done.
You want the second one into one motion?
Yeah.
Property tax and the sewer levy?
It can be one or two. Usually it's one.
Okay. And what else?
That's what we need in the end. Between now and then, it's just a decision on if there's anything in the proposed budget that the committee wants to change.
Well, I don't recall. I think in previous years, it seemed like we had a lot more, questions before, and I don't know if everybody was ready to propose the changes or to have those discussions. I think we did individual parts and then the budget as a whole. So is that right, Mr. Chandler?
We did. So the process we went through is that if any of the committee members have something they want to change, to present it in the form of a motion, and then we voted on each individual motion. And then if there were changes, which there have been each year, you would approve the budget as amended. You have, from the last two meetings in the handouts that were included in your packets, some possible changes based upon what I heard, and I put some potential motions in there, or there may be things that you want to add to it now as we finish, or subtract or change or modify.
Oh, let me get my screens right before I start asking everybody. Okay, so I see you're first, Richard, but I just want Richard. Why does it say Richard?
Oh, my name's Richard.
Oh, I knew that. Thanks. So let's just do that. Let's open it up to things that people would like to amend before we do that, and let's do that first. So, Mr. Mark. Oh wait, Ms. Richard. Yes.
Sorry, if I could just add a reminder, if we change an expense, we also have to change a revenue line item so that the budget stays in balance, or counter it with a cut in an expense. So it's an increase and a decrease.
Right.
Thank you.
Mark.
Well, and in the back of my mind is that if we approve the budget today, then we're very restricted in what we can change in the course of the council year. And I have my eye on the street overlay transfer. And I apologize, Mr. Chandler, I sent you a message late today, and I was just wondering maybe you can answer this top of your head. What would be the impact of delaying for a year $275,000 worth of street overlay projects, and how urgent are those? And I'm just thinking that I'm looking for some money that we can keep in reserve because we are not through this COVID stuff yet.
Well, you have two options that are available to you. One is that you can reduce that amount and put it somewhere else. In this case, put it in something like a contingency where it can be used for other projects. So you have that option. Essentially what would happen is that you'd have an overlay project that would just get pushed off for a year. I'm trying to find my notes where we had mentioned some of the projects, and I'll get to those, and I'll find those in just a minute. But the other thing that you can do is that we know going in to the new fiscal year that there's some uncertainty as to what revenues we will receive. We're not sure what's going to happen to transient room tax. We're not sure what's going to happen to some of the other state shared revenues that we have before us. There's some uncertainty even with the property tax as businesses are facing a challenge. And so I had presented to the city council in an executive meeting potential holds on expenses, some cuts completely and some holds to the tune of about $4 million. And so you can either reduce the budget to add money to contingency, or we just simply hold on projects until we see what's going to happen. And if we find that we need to use those monies elsewhere, you could amend the budget. So either way will work.
I would love projects over people, okay. Did that answer your question, Mr. Mark?
Mr. Chair, the street overlay projects that we have for this year, we have $320,000 for Northeast 6th, Highway 101 to Mast. We have $200,000 for Southwest 29th, Highway 101 to Beach, including shoulder parking. And we have Northeast 36th Drive in West Devils Lake from Northeast 36th to Highway 101 for $250,000.
And didn't we just did the sewer line for that?
36th we did.
Yeah. So that's 450, 775?
Yeah.
No, more than that. 875, sorry.
875.
Wait. I don't know. 247. I'm not sure. So that would be a recommendation that the budget committee makes to city council.
Well, as far as the projects go, it would be a recommendation, but as far as if you want to reduce the amount so that there's no transfer, then you would just simply reduce item number 111-092-660-1205, which is transfer to street capital, and then reduce the revenue coming into street capital by that same amount.
Okay. Mr. Mark, did you get that?
And if there's a specific project you want to put on hold, that's the recommendation you can make to the city council. But what you can do is to simply reduce the budget by that transfer.
Two different ways, yeah?
Well, yeah, the one way is actually change the budget. Again, the other, and that's particularly important if that's something the budget committee themselves want to do. If you don't want to see those overlays go, but we recognize we may have some revenue challenges in the future, then the council would just simply act as we learn what those revenue challenges may be.
Okay. Mr. Mark?
So again, and so part of my question earlier, and I know we don't have Lila Bradley with us tonight, but I'm wondering if any of those street overlay projects are tied into, there's some question about a sewer line or something that, there's going to need to be work on that street anyway, in which case I wouldn't want to delay the project. But if it's just a matter of, I love the idea that we're on this 20-year rotation for streets. I think it's a great idea, but maybe this is a year that we could just skip a street, just push it back.
Maybe it could be the 21-year plan.
Yeah. So, again, just to be very clear, if we approve the budget as is with the transfer to cover the street overlay projects, city council 3 months from now, are you saying would have the option of making an amendment and pulling that money back because we've now learned that we're in deep COVID, so to speak, and we need to make an adjustment? So if that's the case, then I'm okay with going ahead with the budget as outlined.
There's a two-part process in that. I have already discussed with the staff of the projects that, if approved by you and then adopted by the city council, would be on hold anyways. And these are included in that until we get a better idea of what the revenues are. When we get a better idea, that's when we'll bring something back to the city council on whether or not something should be permanently changed or if we can go forward. So, but we already have a list, the staff does, of projects, hirings, expenses that will automatically be on hold until we have a better sense of what's going to happen with our revenues.
That satisfies my question. I just want to make sure we're not shooting ourselves in the foot tonight and worry about it later.
Thank you. Ms. Walke?
I see loss of revenue in both transit room tax and street and gas tax, and those both affect streets. So if there's not income coming in, there's going to have to be some cuts, and that's something for city council to decide down the road, I think.
Thank you. All right, so I'd just like to open it up then. Does anybody have other things that they'd like to talk about within the budget they'd like to talk individually? Wow. Wild. All right. Well, then what? We're going to make 3 motions then? Oh, Mr. Norakis, Mayor Anderson.
Unmute.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, good. Regarding the Parks and Rec 6% increase in the community center fees, I'm not in favor, I am in favor of the increase. The comparisons to other cities is favorable rather. It would entail, if we didn't do it, it would entail a big hit in the future for clients. I do not want to defer building maintenance, and this item is low on the priority list. In addition to all departments having delayed or canceled expenditures on the proposed budget, I think it would be fair for Parks and Rec to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Oxenholt?
I'd like to make a motion, if people weren't happy with the 10% pay cut, I would make a motion that we did a 5% pay cut on salaried employees.
Are you making a motion, or are you saying that you would make a motion?
I would make a motion.
Okay.
If there's any comments from others.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Casper.
That's not about her motion, but.
I understand. I don't think she's making a motion. She's just saying she would if we get there.
I was just looking into the negotiations with the senior center for potential revenue.
Right? I think it was $1,700 a month or something. Or what was?
About 1,600.
Yeah. So that, again, that would be make a recommendation to City Council for the Parks and Rec to negotiate with the senior center.
Right.
Okay. All right. Mr. Homebaum.
I understand that asking the senior center about paying some rent. I'm not sure where we think senior center has $1,500 a month or $1,200 a month or even maybe $500 a month to pay any kind of a rent.
They have monthly membership.
I think that's starting the discussion about that might be appropriate, but I think that saying, well, we're going to have them start charging them rent, well, then that becomes the end of our senior center if
they have a monthly rent. They have monthly membership dues.
I don't know what their fiscal situation is, but I can't imagine they're sitting around with $10,000 in the bank. How's that?
Well, I think if you look up their tax, their nonprofit, you will see that they do have money.
All right.
So, and regardless, that isn't what it's about. I mean, that's part of being charged at all, plus all the maintenance that's associated with that business.
Yes, but it's also a value question, and it's do we value supporting, as a city, do we value supporting the senior center as something that's important to our community? If we set some sort of a rate where the senior center couldn't pay it, senior center went away, then that's a loss to our community. So what's the value? It's the same as the rec center. Okay, there's a value to that.
The
value question.
I understand. I hear what you're saying.
Okay.
Ms. Oxenholt.
The dues are $12 a year is what they pay.
Thank you for clarifying. Mr. Mark.
Yeah, I was glad that Mr. Noriakis mentioned the rate increase and I think, Chester, you were saying that you were in favor of going ahead with the increase. That
was correct.
Yeah, I am as well, and part of my reasoning, I mean, I use the rec center, not heavily, but I'm there I missed it on a rainy day today. And to that whole, and Councilor Hogan, I think you raised a great question about, is there a way to promote the membership first before we go to a rate increase? I mean, it's a reasonable way to look at it, but I've had a couple of days in the past year where I've gone over there and I couldn't find a place to park. I mean, not that I couldn't find a place to park, but I had to park way over whatever that street is, at the far side. And when I went in and I said at the desk, boy, what's going on? Is there a league meet or something going on today? And they said, no, it's just normal usage. It's the pickleball and it's the this and it's the that. And it is well used. And I agree certainly the comparison sheet that we were given showed that compared to other fitness centers in town, it's a bargain, especially since you've got a pool, and compares well to other communities as well. So, and I do not want to defer maintenance. I think about that every time I go in on a rainy day and the rain is pouring through the rusty gutter down to everybody's forehead. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there also.
Do we, I don't know, I think Ms. Sprague is still on here. Is there a way in which you could say 3 years ago when we were at a certain point, we had this many memberships against last year with a rate increase, how many memberships that way? We have those kind of where it was in comparison.
Yes, so Mr. Chandler may have included this in the budget committee notes. We have shown since 2015 the increase of our memberships. We were at 1,600 in 2016. We're now at 1,713 for this year as of March 17th when we had to close. Our net monthly revenue for memberships only has increased 39.1% from 2015 to 2020. Mr. Chandler, were those numbers? I think you're on mute.
Yeah, I think I got those in there. I'm looking for them. The information you sent to me is in there.
Councilor Hogan, there is a 5-year history of the sold community center membership passes there.
Going up. Okay, thank you. Ms. Oxenholt, I see first.
I say there's not much of a difference. Not even 100 people from year to year. So.
Yes, and if you look down at the revenue, there's a difference of monthly revenue of 7,000 from 2015 to 2020, and that's because last year, Ms. Oxenholt, we went from individual passes where it was fitness or aquatic only to an all-access pass, which combines, as many community centers do, all the activities under one pass.
So would that be fair to say that the number of memberships in 2015 may not have been 1,600?
Oh, what do you want to do? No.
Judy, we're out. We can. Oh, sorry.
Councilor Hoagland, what do you mean? They wouldn't be all access memberships. They would have been just a fitness membership or an aquatic membership.
But what I'm saying is that 1,600 number of memberships is not 1,600 people. Because
no,
some people would hold a membership on aquatics and the gym, or no?
Oh,
right.
I don't think, Councilor Hoagland, too many would do that because there was a pass that did combine both of them for gym and aquatics. So they would have had that pass. Lori LaFon, our ambassador, used ActiveNet to do the count of individual pass holders. I know that she didn't look at the individual kind of passes that they bought, except when she did the net revenue for each month.
So so in 2015, if you did it by name and not memberships, there'd be 1,600 different names of people.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can double check with Lori tomorrow, but I believe that's.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a bit different. It could be 800 to 1,700. You know what I mean? It could be a much bigger swing.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Let me double check on that.
All right. Mr. Mark.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Okay, Ms. Casper.
Yeah, I'd like to go back for clarification on the senior center. Do we currently have any kind of contract or, negotiable piece of paper stating that they have X amount of space, or whether it's gratis or it's renewed from year to year? That's kind of what I'm looking at, that there's some kind of understanding on paper. Is there such a thing? Whether it's rent or just an agreement that they can be there? Because I was just wondering if that exists.
Do you want to answer that?
Yes, sir. Councilor Casper, there is not any kind of MOU or understanding with the senior center at this point.
Would it be beneficial to both parties if there were such an agreement or understanding between them, do you think, in your opinion?
My feeling is yes, if there is rent that's being received by the city. If there's not being rent that's received by the city, I don't see any advantage to us signing a contract.
Okay, but it doesn't, signing a contract would then delineate exactly an agreement between the parties. The amount doesn't have to be astronomical then. correct?
It would delineate it, but we're already providing that service for them now.
If they fall and injure themselves on our property, aren't we responsible for that?
What you're addressing is what we normally do with a not-for-profit entity that wants to use our facilities, is they obtain an exclusive use permit, which has all kinds of requirements like hold harmless indemnification, insurance, those kind of things.
We don't have, correct?
We do not have that now.
I mean, what's the recommendation to city council that the budget committee can make to do that?
I think Ron read it earlier.
Yeah. If you would like to,
is it in your notes, Ron?
It is.
All right.
It's on page 7.
Okay.
I move to recommend to the city council that they begin negotiating with the senior citizens organization to charge rent for their use of the community center.
And I guess I would recommend that you simply, rent isn't the key. It's, indemnity, hold harmless. It's the standard permit issue that I think is what most concerns staff. Treat not-for-profit organizations the same.
Right. Okay. Are we making motions tonight? Is that what we're doing?
Yes, this is your last meeting. So if there's anything, you've had a couple of alluding to a motion, but nobody actually made the motion.
All right. So let me stop you there. Would anybody like to make the motion that Mr. Appicello just said? Ms. Oxenholt?
What I want to do is, how long has the senior center been there? They've been there for at least 15, 20, 30 years, and no one's asked them for a contract, and they've never paid. So at some point, something had to have been told to them for them to be able to get in there.
Yeah, and I have other questions like, do they have key access to the building? Do they have security access to the building? I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff in that I don't know.
Nancy and Councilor Hoagland, I do have all that information, a long history of how they started in 1981 with the community center. I don't know how you'd like me to disseminate that information to you. Is this something?
I mean, I think, well, we'll see. We'll hold off on that.
Okay.
So Ms. Casper, thanks, Ms. Oxenholt. Ms. Casper?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I move to recommend to the city council that they begin negotiating with the senior citizen organization to seek a standard permit for the use of the community center and any other documentation necessary.
Okay.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Parsons. I'd like to, is that right? Is that said, Mr. Appicello? Is that the right way? Okay. Mr. Anderson, did you have something to say? No, sir. Ms. Walke? This is up for discussion. Thank you. Ms. Walke?
Are we discussing the motion?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Yes.
Was there talk of payment in return for the use in that motion, or just a contract? Thank you.
Ms. Casper, was there money?
I suggested any other documentation necessary.
Remember that the council can lawfully make a contribution to a not-for-profit entity. So like other not-for-profit entities, the council can make that decision every year.
So the first and more important thing is Ms. Casper's recommendation. Then after this vote, if someone wants to make a motion on recommending to city council that they seek a rental agreement with the senior center, that would also be appropriate. Mr. Appicello, is that right?
Yeah, I think it's just it's a part of the budgeting process. If you want to make a donation to a not-for-profit, that's occupying your building, then accounting wise, you're noting that you've made that contribution if you've waived the rent. This has happened when the cultural center would make a request to have the rent excused, and you don't make that donation to the cultural center. I think the seniors would be in the same situation. They'd probably have a rent and probably have some provision where it could be excused if they provide a certain minimum level of services. We've done that with the cultural center.
And Ms. Casper worded that to include that?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Mark.
And I'm sorry, I stepped away. Maybe I missed something. I'm puzzling over why a permit with the senior center is a matter for the budget committee to consider. Seems like we do budget.
Technically, it's not a matter for the budget committee. You can make a recommendation, but it's not really a matter for the budget committee.
Okay.
Unless you change the budget to reflect your recommendation.
And that would include what did you say, the yearly amount based upon the minimum nonprofit and the 2440 square feet at 30 cents a square foot was what amount per month?
$1,232.
And for the year, did you do the math? I don't know. Well, whatever it was times 12. So the budget would reflect that amount.
784.
One more time, Mr. Chandler, please.
14,784.
So then we would have to adjust the budget to that amount to reflect a in-kind donation, I guess.
Mr. Hoagland, are you offering an amendment to, because I didn't hear anything about money.
No. This is still in the discussion of this. No, I'm not. I'm just trying to follow how it would apply to reflecting the budget.
Well, it would apply however the council determined it applied based off of what Mr. Rappacello said.
Yeah.
Yes.
I probably would not change the budget at this time because the council's options are several on if they want to go forward with this. It may have no financial impact at all, or it may have a big financial impact. It just depends on where the council wants to land.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? All right, Ms. Steer, may we have a roll call vote, please?
I'm sorry, did we get a second on that?
Mr. Parsons?
Dick Anderson,
Yes.
Larry Armstrong,
That just dropped off.
Larry,
Oh, he's still there. You're muted, Larry.
Yes.
Thank you.
is that a yes, Larry?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Judy Casper,
Yes.
Estelle Harlan,
Yes.
Deanna Hinton,
Yes.
Riley Hoagland,
Yes.
Kevin Honbaum,
Yes.
Diane Coos,
Yes.
Rick Mark,
No.
Chester Norikis,
Yes.
Nancy Oxenholt,
Muted, Nancy. You're good now.
Yes.
thank you. Mitch Parsons,
Yes.
Elaine Stormer,
Yes.
Susan Walke,
No.
motion passes.
Thank you all very much. All right. Now we could go on. I think the next thing that I recall would be the 10% or 5% that we have been talking about. Like to open the floor to that. People think, but we have committee members. Sorry. Ms. Oxenholt, I see you're first.
Yeah, I move to recommend the city council that salaried, non-represented employees reduce their salaries by 5%.
Okay. Do you have a second? All right, hearing none, that motion dies. Mr. Helm? Okay. There was two other people who had hands up. I didn't see who they were.
Briley, I had my hand up, but it was about a different issue. I didn't.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak to the salaried, non-represented personnel at a reduction of wages? Mr. Helmbaum.
I'll speak to it, but since it's the motion didn't carry, then it's inconsequential, but.
Well, maybe they want a 10%, who knows?
Yeah, there we go. I wouldn't be in favor of that. The city manager has made no indication that we're at the point where we need to reduce salaries of staff members, and I would take the city manager's lead on that.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Walke, your next topic. Nope, you're muted. Muted.
Sorry, I raised my hand.
Yeah.
I thought she was talking about another issue, and I don't want to bring up what I was going to talk.
Thank you for explaining. I appreciate that. Anyone want to talk about the firefighters wellness program? We want to make a motion or a recommendation to City Council on that. Is that something at City Council level, Mr. Chandler?
The council could take that up at any time that they choose, whether or not there's a recommendation coming from you. The one advantage to doing with this is that it puts it in the outside agency request. Right now, it's kind of off books. And so the one advantage of going forward is that it ends up a decision by the city council to put it as part of their outside agency request.
All right. Ms. Walke, would you like to speak to that motion?
Yes. I just wanted to say, with the new gym at the fire station Taft, that it may be a moot issue.
Sure.
This may be down, but I think it's a decision for City Council to make.
All right. Would anyone like to make the motion to recommend the City Council that the firefighters wellness program be a part of the outside agency request? Clinton.
I'm not sure if I would want to make a motion right now, and I would like to say that if we extend this again to the fire department, knowing that they have now their own equipment, that just doesn't quite feel right. So I'd probably vote no overall. But secondly, if we do move forward with providing this opportunity to them, I would rather it be just for the firefighter, him or herself, and at a reduced rate of like the senior level, because they have their own equipment.
Okay. Well, yeah. I just think as a matter of accounting, I think it would be important to hold them, and then that way it's on the books and not, oh, here's your membership, and then now they're there without, what if they fell and hurt themselves, Mr. Apichello? If we don't account for them having a membership and they're using our equipment and get injured, what happens to the city?
Good question.
That's what I want to hold them safe. I mean,
yeah, I think we should be accounting for who's in our building. When you do come in to the community center, you do sign some paperwork acknowledging and you're holding us harmless. I'm not sure if the firefighters have been doing that.
Right. So I would just like to make a general recommendation that those that have free memberships to our facilities are accurately protected, in some way. I don't know what that would look like, but
I do believe that employees that go there do have to sign the release.
So yes, Councilor Hoagland and Richard, both the firefighters and employees have to fill out the membership form, sign off on it, and they have to sign in each time they come in and swipe their cards.
So the firefighters do have membership cards?
They do. That's how we keep track that there's 15 of them that currently have cards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Hinton.
I don't know if this will go anywhere, but I'd like to make a motion to remove the firefighters from the budget because they have their own equipment, and it's not like the request made by the police where the police are potentially working out right next to somebody they just arrested. I mean, it's not the same situation. And now that they have brand new equipment, a brand new workout room, you know, I would suggest that they come back after they've worn out their equipment.
Were they part of the budget though? I thought they were just, oh, hey, by the way, 15 people are using it unaccounted for.
Well, we're talking about it during the budget.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I mean. I don't think they're a part. I don't think this 15 is a part of the budget at all. That's why we're talking about it.
Just remove it then.
I hear you.
Correct. We don't charge them, and it's correct. It's not part of the budget. We just don't charge them.
So moving forward, if we don't do anything, moving forward, those memberships won't be renewed. Or anybody that has a free pass won't have a free pass unless it's done right. Okay. So we can rest assured there. Ms. Hinton, is it? Okay. Okay. What else do we have? Mr. Chandler?
I think you've covered it, Mr. Chair.
All right. So which one's first, the property tax and sewer levy or the other way around?
Abby?
It's probably 6.5 dozen of the other, but you might do the tax levy first.
All right.
So that would be a tax levy of 4.0996 and a levy for sewer bonds of $1,603,710.
Right. Would someone like to make that motion?
So moved.
All right. I heard.
Second.
Well, I'm going to go with Miss Walke as the motion and Miss Harlan as the seconder.
Since
All
we
right.
raised our hands.
Discussion? That's all right. All right. Miss Steer, may we have a roll call, please?
Larry Armstrong,
Yes.
Judy Casper,
Yes.
Estelle Harlan,
Yes.
Deanna Hinton,
Yes.
Riley Hoagland,
Yes.
Kevin Hohenbaum,
Yes.
Diane Coos,
Yes.
Rick Mark,
Yes.
Chester Norikis,
Yes.
Nancy Oxenholt,
Yes.
Mitch Parsons,
Yes.
Elaine Starmer,
Yes.
Susan Walke,
Yes.
and Dick Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Very good. Thank you all very much for that. The second one, we have the motion to approve the budget. I'm sorry, motion to recommend the budget. Oh, there's already hands. Mr. Helmbaum.
Question on the, before we move on to approving it.
Sure.
On the thing that you sent out, Ron, and maybe I missed it, where you broke out the community center costs versus the recreation costs into two separate kind of categories, and you said this is what it would look like if we start doing that.
Yeah.
Does the budget committee need to make a recommendation that you start doing that, or is that something that's going to happen?
No, I think that's within my purview to make that change as part of next year's budget. And Debbie and I are both in agreement with the budget committee that it's a good idea to do it. Okay.
And then the second part of that question was, we had a lot of discussion maybe last meeting about the stated goal of the rec center to pay for, correct me, 65% of its cost or whatever that number is. To adjust that number, is that under something the budget committee needs to make a recommendation about, or is that just strictly city council and you?
No, as a matter of fact, it would be helpful because we've tried to establish financial policies that we've carried on from year to year. And so if you're comfortable with covering 45% of the direct revenues covers the expenditures, that means the transient room tax aren't figured into it. That's what I'm working on. If you'd like to change that to be less or more, then yeah, make that recommendation.
Is that a recommendation where we need to recommend a number? Because I wouldn't be comfortable doing that, as opposed to recommending that staff and council look at what would be an appropriate number for that based off of some research about what other communities' costs are and what value that the rec center has for the city of Lincoln City.
Either way would be fine. In the end, I'm very comfortable when we have a target that we're working towards. So whether you're
Larry, sorry, Mr. Chandler, if we could just one moment. Larry, we can hear you, buddy.
or if you want to have the council work with us to do some research to figure out what the best number is, either way would be fine for me.
Mr. Riley, I'd like to make a motion that the Budget Committee recommend to council that they explore what the best number would be for the percentage of the rec centers covering its own costs. I did not say that very well.
You, as I heard you, make a recommendation to City Council to explore the percentage of which the center should cover its own costs.
Right.
Okay. You have a second? Anybody? Miss Coos. Coos. Sorry. Yes. We're up for discussion. All right. I don't hear any discussion. Ms. Steer, may we have a roll call, please?
That one would just be an aye vote.
Oh.
You can just call it.
Okay. All right. All in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Okay. That might be the reason why we do the roll call.
Yeah, I was wondering how you're gonna look real quick to see who's talking.
There was an echo in that too.
Yeah, I don't know if it was Starmer or not. So we have a roll call, please.
So here we go. Judy Casper?
Yes.
Estill Harlan?
Yes.
Deanna Hinton?
Yes.
Riley Hoagland?
Yes.
Kevin Hohenbaum?
Yes.
Diane Coos?
Yes.
Rick Mark?
Yes.
Chester Norikis?
No.
Nancy Oxenholt?
Yes.
Mitch Parsons?
Yes.
Elaine Starmer?
Yes.
Was that no?
That was yes.
Okay. Susan Walke?
No.
And Dick Anderson?
Yes.
And Larry Armstrong?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right. Very good. Any other motions before the motion to recommend the proposed or amended budget? Ms. Hinton? Oh, sorry. All right. Ms. Walke. Yes, ma'am.
I move to approve the 2021 budget as presented to the Budget Committee. I move to recommend to City Council approval of the 2021 budget as presented.
Can I correct you? The budget committee does actually approve it.
Oh, okay.
And council adopts it, so you wouldn't make a recommendation to council, you just approve it.
Okay. I move to approve it. Thank you.
I'll second.
As presented. Correct. Yes, ma'am. Okay, Mr. Helmbaum said.
Second.
Second. All right. All right. Up for discussion. Parsons? No. Mr. Helmbaum?
No.
All right. All right. Ms. Steer, may I have a roll call, please?
Estill Harlan?
Yes.
Deanna Hinton?
Yes.
Riley Hoagland?
Yes.
Kevin Hohenbaum?
Yes.
Diane Coos?
Yes.
Rick Mark?
Yes.
Chester Norikis?
Yes.
Nancy Oxenholt?
Yes.
Mitch Parsons?
Yes.
Elaine Starmer?
Yes.
Susan Walke?
Yes.
Dick Anderson,
Yes.
Larry Armstrong,
Yes.
and Judy Casper.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Ms. Bridges, is there any other motions I need to make instead of making the mistake of last year?
Yeah, no, that was the one that we didn't do last year, so we are done.
I don't want to do
You
that
remember
again.
that, do you?
Yeah. Oh, that was a hard dinner that night. No.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Chandler, I give it to you, sir.
Just thank you. Thank you for a lot of hard work on your part. We really, all of us and our staff appreciate how much work you put in and the support you give us.
Thank you, Mr. And I'd say the same to city staff, to all the residents who's commented, to you all in the budget committee. Thank you all very much. And with that, I think we're done. Thank you all very much for this, and let's have a good night. Thank you.
Good night, all.
Meeting's adjourned.